Let us begin with Unit 4, that is Tools in Economic Analysis. We know that economic theory consists of definitions and hypotheses about the way in which the world behaves. The economic theorist has the task of discovering what is implied by these hypotheses. If costs vary in a certain way with output, and if businessmen seek to make as much profit as they can, then a tax on the businessman's sales will have certain specific effects both on the level of output and on the price at which the product is sold. The hypothesis of economic theory may be described in word formulated symbolically, or if there are no more than 3 variables involved illustrated graphically. Once formulated in a precise way, implications of the hypothesis may also be derived by verbal argument, mathematical analysis, or geometry. What are the important tools in economic analysis? In order to accomplish the desired result, economists need 2 separate sets of tools. The first set is composed of all the apparatus of logical deduction used to discover the implications of assumptions and thereby to deduce from the theories predictions about observable events. The second set of tools is composed of the techniques of statistical analysis that the economist requires when he comes to test his theories against empirical observations. Let us understand the functional relationship. Modern economic theory uses both these variations of economic dynamics. Thus, in modern economics, dynamic analysis concerns itself with either establishing functional relationship between economic variables relating to different points of time or considering rate of change of variables in a growing economy and how they are related to each other. For example, the amount of a commodity that people will buy is observed to depend on, among other things, the prices of the commodity. When mathematicians wish to say that one thing depends on another, they say that one thing is the function of other. There are 2 steps in giving compact symbolical expression to the relation noted. First, we give each concept a symbol, and second, we designate the symbol to express the ideas of one's factors' dependence on another. The hypothesis that quantity demanded depends on the price of the product is written as QD is equal to F into P, where QD is the quantity demanded of some commodity and P is the prices of the commodity. What is the concept error term? The examples of functional relations considered were all deterministic ones, in the sense that they were expressed as if they held exactly given the value of x. We knew the value of y exactly. The relations considered in economics are rarely of this deterministic sort. Take for example, when an economist says that world behaves so that y is equal to 7 into x, he does not expect that knowing x will tell him exactly what y will be, but only that he will tell him what will be y with some margin of error. This error is predicting y from the knowledge of what? From the knowledge of x, arises from 2 quite distinguished reasons. Like first, there may be other variables that also affect y, Second, we can never measure our variables exactly. So that even if x is the only cause of y, our measurement will give various y's corresponding to the same x value. What are the necessary conditions and sufficient conditions? In general, a necessary condition is something that must be present, but by itself may not guarantee the result. A sufficient condition is something that, if present, does guarantee the result, but that need not be there for the result to occur. A condition that is necessary and sufficient must be there, and if there is enough to guarantee the result. Let us understand the other concepts, stocks and flows. Some of the most serious confusion in economics, I'll tell you, have arisen from a failure to distinguish between stocks and flows. Imagine bathtub, half full of water with a tap turned on and the plug is removed. You have in your mind a model similar to many simple economic theories. The level of water in the bathtub is what? Is a stock. An amount that is just there. We could express it as so many gallons of water. The amount of water entered through the tap and the amount leaving through the drain are both flows. We could express them as so many gallons per minute or per hour. A flow necessarily has a time dimension. A stock does not have any time dimensions. Similarly, we have other concepts like identities and equations. The difference between identities and equations are also important in economics because we have mathematical economics, isn't it? So, an identity is a relation that is true for all values of the variables. No value can be found that would contradict it. Take for example, an example of an identity is x plus y whole square, which is equal to what? X square plus 2x plus y square, which expression is true for all numerical values of x and y. It should be noted that identities are usually written with a 3-bar sign and that the expression y is equal to x is read as y is identical with x. Identities are statements compatible with any state of the universe. Here we have one method called as deductive method. What is deductive method? It is of reasoning, is an abstract method. Deduction means reasoning or inference from the general to the particular or from universal to individual. It derives new conclusion from the fundamental assumptions or from truths established by other methods. It involves the process of reasoning from certain laws or principles which are assumed to be true to the analysis of facts. Then interference are drawn which are verified against observed facts. The stages of deductive method. First step or the first stages is selecting the problem. The problem which an investigator selects for inquiry must be stated clearly. First one. Then what? Second one is formulating assumptions. The second step in deduction is the framing of assumption. It is so and so, isn't it? So, which are the basis of hypothesis? Inquiry to be fruitful, assumptions must be what? It should be general. Third one is formulating the hypothesis. The next stage is to formulate hypothesis on the basis of assumptions. A hypothesis is a suggestion based on what? Reality or the facts, which is used as a basis for logical reasoning, whereby conclusions are drawn from the propositions. next one is the verifying the hypothesis. Next stage is verifying the hypothesis. The final stage of the deduction method is the verification of the hypothesis. Verification consists in confirming whether the hypothesis is in agreement with facts or a hypothesis is true or not, can be verified by observation and experiment. So, what are the important merits? What are the advantages of this deductive method? First one, according to Professor Boulding, known economist, as you all know that, it is a method or intellectual experiment. This method is nearer to reality. Second one, this method is very simple because it is analytical, it involves abstraction and simplifies a complex problem by dividing it into component parts. Third one, it is a powerful method of analysis for deducting conclusions from certain facts. Fourth one, the use of mathematics in deduction brings exactness and clarity in economic analysis. This method is very useful in economics where experimentation is not possible. This method helps in drawing inferences which are of universal validity because they are based on general principles. At the same time, this deductive method has also got some of the demerits. Let us look into the demerits of deductive method. First and foremost, in this method, hypothesis is based on a set of assumptions. If assumptions are unrealistic, the theory what happens? It also breaks down. Second one, the conclusion derived from deductive method are not applicable universally because the premises from which they are deducted may not hold good at all time and at all places. Third one is the deductive method is highly abstract and requires greater skill in drawing inferences from various premises. Fourth, but not the least, this method is based on assumption that economic conditions remain constant. But economic conditions, are they constant always? No, they are continuously, what happens? They are continuously changing. Thus, this method fails to make correct analysis. The second method is, along with the deductive, we have one more method, isn't it? That is inductive method. What is inductive? Reasoning from a part to the whole, from particular to the general, or from individual to the universe. According to Professor Bacon, it is an ascending process in which facts are collected, arranged and general conclusions are drawn. The best example like the Angel's law of family expenditure and Malthusian theory of population have been derived from this method. In this, there are various other steps. Similarly, similar to that of deductive, we have some steps in the inductive method also. What are the important steps? The first one is the problem. The problem should be properly selected and clearly stated in order to arrive at generalization concerning an economic phenomena. Second step is the data. It is the collection. After collection, it is the enumeration, classifications and analysis of data using appropriate statistical techniques. Third step is the observation. It is collected data, whatever we have collected the data, right? That data is used to make observation about particular facts concerning the problem. Fourth one is generalization. Generalization is logically derived on the basis of observation. It establishes a general truth from particular facts. Let us understand the merits of inductive method. First one, inductive method is realistic because it is based on the facts and explains them in their original form. This method helps for future inquiries and future investigation Once the generalization is established, it becomes the starting point of future enquiries. The third one is this method is more dynamic. Economic phenomena can be analyzed on the basis of entrepreneurs or enterprises. Conclusions can be drawn and appropriate remedial measures can be taken. The fourth one is this method makes use of statistical method. This has made easy for analyzing complex economic problem. Collection of data regarding macro variables like national income, prices, consumption, savings, total employment, etc. has increased the usefulness of this method. Now, on the other side, we have to look into the demerits also. The inductive method has certain demerits. First one, inductive method is time consuming and also a costly affair. It involves detailed process of collection, classification and interpretation of the data. And the second important demerits is since this method uses statistical data, it can be misused and misinterpreted by the analysts. I would like to conclude this topic by focusing on these important points. Economists need two sets of tools. The first set is composed of all the apparatus of logical deduction used to discover the implication of theories. The second set of tools is the set of mathematics and statistical techniques. The functional relations is said to exist when one thing depends on another. Such a functional relations may be increasing functions or the decreasing functions. Necessary condition is something that must be present but by itself may not guarantee the result. A sufficient condition is something that, if present, does guarantee the result but that need not be there for the result to occur. Therefore, I conclude by saying causes are independent variables and effects are dependent ones. And thus, stocks do not consider time element while flows consider the time element. In economics, more than one variables are used. Partial derivatives are useful when the assumption ceteris paribus is introduced.